Welcome back. So today I'm talking about Anne Maria Jackson, her husband, and her 7 children, and they were part of the Underground Railroad, which is a series of safe houses that housed people and people who helped them get to freedom. So their journey started from Maryland and went to Canada. So reading from the Canada website, arrival from Maryland, 1859, Anne Maria Jackson and her 7 children, Mary Ann, William Henry, Frances Sabrina, Wilhelmina, John Edwin, Ebenezer Thomas, and William Albert. The coming of the above name was duly announced by Thomas Garrett. Wilmington, November 21st, 1858. Dear friends McKim and Still, I write to inform you that on the 16th of this month, we passed on 4 able-bodied men to Pennsylvania, and they were followed last night by a woman and her 6 children, from 3 or 4 years of age to 16 years. I believe the whole belonged to the same estate, and they were to have been sold at public sale. I was informed yesterday, but preferred seeking their own master. We had some trouble in getting those last safe along, as they could not travel far on foot, and could not safely cross any of the bridges on the canal, either on foot or in carriage. A man left here 2 days since with carriage to meet them this side of the canal, but owing to spies, they did not reach till 10 o'clock last night. This morning he returned, having seen them about 1 or 2 o'clock this morning in a second carriage on the border of Chester County, where I think they are all safe, if they can be kept from Philadelphia. If you see them, they can tell their own tales, as I have seen one of them. May he who feeds the ravens care for them. Yours, Thomas Garrett. So you see the Underground Railroad series of people helping these people to go free, people choosing to love one another instead of profiting from oppression. Continuing, the fire of freedom obviously burned with no ordinary fervor in the breast of this enslaved mother, or she never would have ventured with the burden of 7 children to escape from the hell of slavery. Anne Maria was about 40 years of age, good-looking, pleasant countenance, and of chestnut color, height medium, and intellect above the average. Her bearing was humble, as might have been expected from the fact that she emerged from the lowest depths of Delaware slavery. During the fall prior to her escape, she lost her husband under the most trying circumstances. He died in the poorhouse, a raving maniac. 2 of his children had been taken from their mother by her owner, as was usual with slaveholders, which preyed so severely on the poor father's mind that it drove him into a state of hopeless insanity. He was a free man in the eyes of Delaware laws, yet he was not allowed to exercise the least authority over his children. Prior to the time that the 2 children were taken from their mother, she had been allowed to live with her husband and children independently of her master, by supporting herself and them with the whitewash brush, washed up, etc. For this privilege, the mother doubtless worked with double energy, and the master in all probability was largely the gainer, as the children were no expense to him in their infancy. But when they began to be old enough to hire out or bring high prices in the market, he snatched away 2 of the finest articles, and the powerless father was immediately rendered a fit subject for the madhouse. But the brave-hearted mother looked up to God, resolved to wait patiently until, in good providence, the way might open to escape with her remaining children to Canada. Year in and year out, she had suffered to provide food and raiment for her little ones. Many times in going out to do day's work, she would be compelled to leave her children, not knowing whether during her absence they would fall victim to fire or be carried off by the master. But she possessed a well-tried faith, which in her flight kept her from despondency. Under her former lot she scarcely murmured, but declared that she had never been at ease in slavery a day after the birth of her firstborn. The desire to go to some part of the world where she could have the control and comfort of her children had always been a prevailing idea with her. Quote, "It almost broke my heart," she said, quote, when he came and took my children away as soon as they were big enough to hand me a drink of water. My husband was always very kind to me, and I had often wanted him to run away with me and the children, but I could not get him in the notion. He did not feel that he could, and so he stayed and died broken-hearted, crazy. I was owned by a man named Joseph Brown. He owned property in Milford, and he had a place in Vicksburg. And some of his time he spent there, and some of the time he lives in Milford. This fall, he said he was going to take 4 of my oldest children and 2 other servants to Vicksburg. I just wanted to hear of this news. I just happened to hear of this news in time. My master was wanting to keep me in the dark about taking them for fear that something might happen. My master is very sly. He's a tall, slim man with a smooth face, bald head, light hair, long and sharp nose, swears very hard and drinks. He's a widower, and he's rich. Yep, rich from stolen labor, selling people. On the road, the poor mother with her travel-worn children became desperately alarmed, fearing that they were betrayed. But God had provided better things for her. Her strength and hope were soon fully restored, and she was lucky enough to fall into the right hands. It was a special pleasure to aid such a mother. Her arrival in Canada was announced by Reverend H. Wilson as follows. Niagara City, November 30th, 1858. Dear Brother Still, I am happy to inform you that Mrs. Jackson and her interesting family of 7 children arrived safe and in good health and spirits at my house in St. Catharines on Saturday evening last. With sincere pleasure, I provided for them comfort quarters till this morning, when they left for Toronto. I got them conveyed there at half fare and gave them letters of introduction to Thomas Henning, Esquire, and Mrs. Dr. Willis, trusting that they'll be better cared for in Toronto than they could be at St. Catharines. We have so many coming to us. We think it is best for some of them to pass on to other places. My wife gave them all a good supply of clothing before they left us. James Henry, an older son, is, I think, not far from St. Catherine, but has not as yet reunited with the family. Faithfully and truly yours, Hiram Wilson. So this is a beautiful account of seeing people working together to get people free instead of exploiting their labor. What did you think about it? And of course, I was sad to see this man distressed, brought low because his children were taken. But it was also enlightening because people tend to not bring that to the forefront of the pain that both parents felt when children were sold into slavery. Thank you so much for that.